You okay, Z?
Yeah. Are you okay, Dee?
Don't be mean.
Si, senor. Give me more cava. I'm all out. Fresh out of cava.
Get a cigarette.
I've been thinking about one all afternoon. And I'm like, Shalane's not.
Are you feeling small? Are you feeling lame? Got no words at all to name your pain. Full of stress, your life's a flame. It's all a mess, going insane. And something's wrong in your domain. Don't know where you're going, where you came. You need a little something to help your brain. Are you shaking your head? It's all a shame. Do you sleep at night? Stay up late? You got a headache? Are you feeling drained? Everybody needs a little help someday. Hear me say it's time for Untamed. Are you feeling small? Are you feeling lame? Got no words at all to name your pain. Full of stress, your life's a flame. It's all a mess, going insane. And something's wrong in your domain. Don't know where you're going, where you came. You need a little something to help your brain. Are you shaking your head? It's all a shame. Do you sleep at night? Stay up late? Got a headache? Are you feeling drained? Everybody needs a little help someday. Just hear me say it's time for Untamed.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
Hi.
Episode 6, our final episode in season 2. So we're super excited to have David Heiss with us tonight.
Hi, David.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to just thank our sponsors real quick. So thank you to Whitesboro Fit Body Boot Camp for sponsoring our podcast. We really appreciate Lisa and all of her coaching staff over there. She's got a real motivated team. She keeps you hyped, 30-minute workouts, basically all day long. At this point, I think she's probably got Clinton opened. I know they were asking some questions about the schedule. So yeah, definitely check out Whitesboro and Clinton Fit Body Boot Camp. Thank you so much for your sponsorship, Lisa.
Yes. We also have Nama Let It Go, the Aerial Arts Studio up in New Hartford. Tons of aerial classes for adults. We have a kids class. We've got some gong and aerial coming up.
Yeah, on the 28th.
Chelan, and then there's Trina's doing something, and I
Yeah.
don't know the date. Is it
So
the
Trina's doing yoga sage up at the studio, and then I'm doing a gong and aerial collab with Allison. So you'll be floating in the aerial silks, and I'll be playing the gong and going around with some sound healing instruments, while you kind of float, and she'll walk you through the whole
it's a beautiful
aerial
place.
experience.
Check it out. And then we've got Renovatio Aesthetics and Wellness, where you can get all of your facial rejuvenation needs, laser hair removal treatments, facials, infusions. So many awesome services there. Go on their website, check out their Facebook page. That's where all their deals are. I try to share everything, so definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, so thank you to our sponsors and thank you to all of our listeners, and we're so excited. So this is one of the guests that I've been waiting for, David. I met David on a retreat, so I went down to Daytona Beach, just like Brandy. We had Brandy on a couple episodes ago, which was a big hit. And David was also one of the retreaters down there in Daytona Beach with Kay Pacha and Brandy, and yeah, he basically changed my life. I mean, let's just not even lie about the truth here. I mean, I had wanted a gong for a long time, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, and then here comes this guy, and he has his gongs with him, and he sets up the Chiron gong, and he sets up his other gong, and I'm like, I just wanted to play it. He's like, go ahead, you play one. So he let me play it.
You manifested that gong because, we had both been chatting about it. And then you went and you're like, I think I'm going to get a gong. Okay, I got a gong.
Yeah, well, because it was like I had this guy.
You two were meant to join at that
definitely.
point in life.
Definite soul connection, right, Dave?
Yeah, and I didn't even ask for permission to bring the gongs either. I just
So did you
rocked
drive there?
gongs.
Because you're in North Carolina, right? You're in Asheville?
Yeah. Yeah, I put them in my car, and I kind of just mentioned that I brought gongs and bring them in. And I was being very careful not to steal the show. But the gongs made a great addition to the retreat. And if I remember right, Chelan, you bought a gong on the retreat.
Yeah, I did. I pressed the
You
send
you
button. Remember, we
ordered
were working on
you
my
ordered it.
car and you were telling me what mallets to get and what stand to get. And then I decided on the symphonic gong. And yeah, I bought it on the retreat. I mean, there were just so many like synchronicities. I mean, that unfolded months before that retreat, all the way to the retreat. And now, like, the culmination, right? Like, so you do gong and you are also are an astrologer, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's I call myself star sounds, and that's combining the stars with the sound and knowing that all the sounds in the universe and the planets are inside of us. And the gongs do have a consciousness of their own. They have their own consciousness, which is bringing the sounds from the stars through the gongs into our bodies, which the stars are inside of our bodies as well. So star sounds with the astrology is just a perfect fit for me, and I'm bringing it and blending it together. And everyone who I've talked to about it is really, really amazed and excited about the fusion that I'm bringing. And I was hesitant on doing it for a while, and I just did it. And my website is actually called starsounds.love because starsounds.com will take you directly to NASA, where you can see YouTube videos where they actually record the sounds of the stars, and they sound a little bit like a gong.
That's cool.
Wow.
How many
Yeah.
gongs do you have?
I've got 14 gongs, and I also have a retreat partner who has another 14 gongs. So between us, we have 28 gongs.
And some of them are
And it was
planetary gongs, right? Like one of them is, I know that you brought the Chiron gong, but some of them are planetary, right?
Yeah, we've got Chiron, the moon, Venus, Pluto, had Neptune. Neptune needed to go somewhere else, so Neptune's not in the mix anymore. So there's a few other planetary gongs that I'm working on getting, and then once I have all the planets, we can actually do astrology gong sounding retreats and really dive into each planet by itself and
Yeah.
not
That's
just
really
talk about it,
cool.
really experience the vibration.
Wow.
So you're at the
Yeah.
Inner Wolf Retreat Center in Asheville, North Carolina, right? That's where you're physically
Y-
located?
Yeah, Inner Wolf Retreat Space,
Retreat space.
and you can,
Okay.
yeah,
So tell
yeah,
us
and you
about
can
it. Tell us
find
about
that
the
by.
space.
Well, the space, it's actually a space that's been a long time in the works, a little bit like your story. It was 12 years ago when I got introduced to the gong, and I never looked back. The gong changed my life as well. Fast forward 12 years, I quit my 3D career and carried my gong across the country. And I thought the retreat space would be in Hawaii, which where I was living in at the time. I did a lot of work in Mount Shasta, thought the retreat space would be in Mount Shasta. And I actually met my business partner at a gong camp in 2019. We got to talking. We both had the same dream of having a space where people can come, a sanctuary where the gongs could sit there and charge. And so during the pandemic, I was vagabonding, road tripping around, got out to Asheville, could not get back to Hawaii, started to get cold, and it wasn't on my mind, but I heard I could find property out here, find some land. So started looking, and the fourth place that I saw, and I'm a 22-4, so the fourth place I saw was perfect. It had the land I was looking for, but not only that, it had a giant, giant barn shaped like a pyramid, which is where I'm at right now. The gongs are here.
That's cool.
Was built. It had another huge building which had the potential of renovating into retreat units, retreat bedrooms. And so I I said that this was my dream. I'm not going to think about it, and put in an offer onto this land in late 2021, and had 9 other offers on it. and I did not overbid. Let the universe decide what it was going to be. The guy who had it before did run wedding venues out of this place, so it had the energy of a collaboration center. So I went in full price, asked for no concessions, and 9 other people went in at overprice and asked for a bunch of concessions. And he ended up taking my offer. And my business partner went straight to work and cleaned this place out. And here it is. So I had no idea it was going to be in Asheville, North Carolina, but it's so right. I love Asheville. I'm not going back to Hawaii, and this is all I do all day is play the gongs, study the stars, and this place is now available for retreats, multiple night retreats. It's available for one-on-ones. We have sound sessions running 3-4 times a week here, and it's also open for you to come do your thing out here as well. So it's a retreat space where if other collaborators are in the healing arts, they can come out. And we've had many holistic practitioners come out, and they all have one thing in common. Can you do a sound session for us? So we do sound sessions for just about everyone that comes here. And the stories that I've been hearing now since we've been here are nothing less than cosmic, of what these people are experiencing and healing, and making connections and memories, and they never thought they would hear it out of sound, out of a gong.
Yeah, that's so
So yeah,
amazing. Yeah, you were just meant
yeah.
to do that. We talked a lot about, how it came to be and just your passion for it. I mean, and you gave me are you still considering teaching and things like that? Because I mean, just in the little bit of time that I spent with you, I left with enough to be able to play a really pretty nice sound bath. I am
Yeah,
taking
she's
some
doing
training
great.
now,
So
but
great training,
yeah.
David. We're loving
And
Chelan
I've
sound
also
baths here at Roots
and
Yoga
I've been
and
wanting to
Fitness.
do.
Yeah, I'm doing them like twice a month now. I'm doing gong and gather events. I'm doing collaborative events with people. I mean, it's been a lot of fun,
We did gong and I did massage.
Oh yeah, gong and
for
massage
her,
we did. So
yeah, that was
she did some
fun.
body work while I was playing the gong, and yeah, I mean, it's just already taking off. I mean, it's given me a lot more confidence behind my energy work to have an instrument, and then I'm just finding so much passion behind like getting, even the chimes that you got. I mean, everybody loves that ocean drum too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that
The ocean drum
was
is
probably the
great.
best thing.
Right, the ocean drum.
Yeah.
Who knew? Ocean
Beautiful.
drum. And I really love what you're doing. When I started playing the gong, I was very traditional. I actually got introduced to the gong through Kundalini yoga.
Hmm.
And they would have a gong there, and they play a certain way. And so for 5 years, I basically had one gong and one mallet, and I would play that way. And it was a little much, a little bit intense. And what I would do is at my home, I would play in different ways. I would try different things out. And I didn't know if that was right or not. It's like, okay, these gongs are very powerful, and if I do this, are they going to blow their head? What's going to happen? And I would actually think like that, and I'd be very careful and very responsible in how I play. And so for 5 or 6 years, that's what I did. But when I went to Gong Camp in 2019, and I did meet some Gong masters, Mitch Nur, Mike Tamburo are my two
Yeah, I've
Gong
been to see Mike
teachers.
before. He comes out to Syracuse area. I've been to one of his gong baths before. It's pretty amazing.
What is this?
Oh, it was
Yeah,
years ago when I did Kundalini yoga training
Oh,
too. So
okay.
yeah, I mean, Kundalini and the gong. I mean, they're very traditional with it. It's very specific way to play it. There's not a lot of. I mean, I guess there's some creativity, but it's a different dynamic.
yeah, it's definitely a different dynamic, a more intense. The gong really gets just ringing and ringing and ringing, and it's really designed to maybe blow fear out of you, or something like that. And a lot of people are not ready for that. And so since Gong Camp came and these masters, and Mike Tamburo just played here three weeks ago, sold out on the Wolf. But these masters, I'm like, hey, can I do this? And they're like, yes. And you're good at it. Can I do this? Yes. And by the end of the Gong Camp, they're like, you're a natural and you can do anything that you want with these gongs. And I was like, really? He's like, yes. And so since Gong Camp, I left Gong Camp with another 5 gongs. So now I had 6 gongs. $1,000 in mallets, discovering that the mallets that you use, you don't need as many gongs because the density and just the shape of the mallet, and you can get all these different sounds out of it. And so everything that I was doing in my closet turned out to be right. And so it's got very progressive, getting back to what you're doing. And that's what's happening right now, is the sound healing part of it. And that is getting very progressive with these gongs, pioneering and exploring new territory of what they can do. So bringing it into any other healing activity. There's a gal, Eileen McCusick, working with tuning forks, which is also a pioneer that I've studied under. And with her research, I've began to study and basically found where the sounds are affecting our energetic fields in our auras. And there's these pulsating sound waves that come through these gongs. And as they get into our auras, that's when we're really starting to transform through these gongs and really bringing up memories and unsticking dormant energies that have been in ourselves for who knows how long, longer than we can even remember. And so it's getting very, very progressive with it. And I've now actually found that slowing down and playing really, I say Kundalini yoga is very yang, and getting very yin-like with these, and basically letting the sound wave, striking the gong maybe once, and letting that hold, a pulsating hold, and letting that wave itself do the work. So in a lot of ways, less is more, and letting the sound do the work. And I've been called a gong master, but the gongs are actually mastering me, is what's happening when I go down and play with the gong. It puts me in check really quick within minutes of where I think I am in my state of mind and where I truly am. And sometimes even when I pick up the mallet for the first 5 minutes, I am orientating myself and checking the ego and actually going into a mantra running through my head to make sure that the pattern, that the sound wave is pure, doing what it needs to do. So it's something that is healing me every time I play.
Oh yeah. I can definitely relate to that. But I loved when you were showing me, you're like, anything can be, you can use any part of the mallet, you can use the end, you can, if you're droning too long and you kind of want to wake people up, you can give them a little ding or whatever. And I mean, it's so creative. And obviously, it's a different, you play differently every time. I mean, and I am finding those sweet spots, like on my gong, like where certain flumies like to play, and where am I getting that like extra little twinkle when you know what I mean? Like, and it's like layering all these sounds, and it's very psychedelic. I mean, it's like, I feel like I'm actually like, channeling this like energy down, and like my energy. And I was like thinking of this as like, so I'm using my energy to move the gong, and then the gong is creating sound energy, which is resonating into the group, and is going into their aura, into their being. There's just so many things. And like, while I'm playing the gong, my thoughts are gone. Sure. Like, it's like, I'm not even thinking. It's like the craziest thing. And I don't even realize that I stopped thinking. Maybe until just this moment. It's kind of weird. Like, I mean, literally, like, I'll play and it's like my mind goes like vacant, sort of. It's like I'm not really thinking. I'm just like listening. Yeah, and then that meditation, like you said, like just hitting the gong and like letting it ring out till you can't hear it anymore. I mean, it can take 10 minutes. I mean, you hit the gong, you know, a
Yes.
little while and you get it ringing and you're listening. I can hear that for so long. And then I'm like, am I hearing a phantom sound? Like, is this even us? Is this even coming from the gong anymore? And the
Right.
funniest thing is that like when I talk, like across the room, the gong will ring, you know, like
Yes. My gong just rang right now.
from my
Like
voice.
it's echoing back every word maybe your voice, definitely my voice. It's right here and it's ringing back at me. Yes.
It's really cool. Like, I love it. And I think that there's just so many opportunities, so many options. Like, yes, there's a time and the place to play the gong, like quietly and letting it just kind of drone. I mean, if you're, you know, looking to just relax and get into that, like, you know, regulated frequency or whatever, that's fine too. But like, I love, people don't think I'm even playing the gong. Like, they have their eyes closed and they're like, what was that instrument that you were playing? Like, what was that sound?
Sometimes I'll have to be like, what does she have now? And then I'll look and it's still the gong.
It's still the gong. You know, they don't realize that the
Just can't
flumies are
help but that
amazing.
eye.
Yeah. Oh, lots of
those
people
are
are
so
peeking.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they see is something very boring. You think you're going to see something, and it's just you tapping the gong, or not even doing that. Um, and yeah, I do once every 3 months here. I partner up with a natural psychic, and we do what's called psychic sound healing. And she's a channel, and so what she'll do is people have their questions and whatever they're going through, whatever their question is, and she'll channel in and she'll tell me, play a garden, play a garden,
I love this.
you know, play the clouds, play a flower. And at that point, you pick up the gong and you start making these sounds, or even some other instruments with that. And so the creativity, every sound in the universe is said to come through a gong that's 32 inches or larger. So and our intentions are very important when it comes to these gongs. So if you want to say play a flower and you become a flower, you're like, okay, I'm going to become a flower and I'm going to tap this gong and it's going to start to bloom. The next thing you know, the person who's receiving the gong treatment says that, yes, the roots started coming through my heart and a flower came right out and blossomed and sang to me. And so these are some of the things that can be done with these gongs. And your imagination is real when it comes to this. So that's where the healing comes through as well. And it's really intention and the feeling of that intention that's coming through the gongs. And when you lose yourself in that moment there, it creates an opening and something can be removed and something comes in and you're like, what just happened? I hear that so many times. How can that happen with just sound? And it's amazing every time. And we are actually running a retreat in May of learning how to play the gong.
Oh, good.
So for anyone interested in that, they can go to the innerwolfretreatspace.com website, look at that retreat schedule. And in May, so we're going to be bringing all of our gongs out here, all of the instruments, and they are going to be opened up for everyone to experiment with these. And there'll be somebody will be active, somebody will be passive. There'll be some journal taking, and we will be playing in all different ways. If we want to release fear, what we do is we just get going on these gongs on a repetitive base, and they will start to scream out the fear and scream out the fear. And we can work with every emotion. So there's many different ways to play this depending on what your intention is. And in the retreats that we're running, the very first gong is a very relaxing, peaceful gong. You guys just arrive, have a peaceful gong and go to sleep. And then the next day is we're going to disturb something dormant. We're going to wake something up, and the gongs are played in a specific way. that poke in these energy fields, and it might be a little bit uncomfortable as they do that. Like a crystal bowl will keep a cohesion. It sounds very beautiful. Everyone loves the bowls. Not everybody loves the gong, because the gong will uh, it will wake dormant things up in you. And so for people who really are drawn to the gongs, they're in an evolutionary state, that their beings and their bodies are ready, to get out, to get unstuck from where they're at. And if you like being stuck, if you like your comfort zones, the gong might not sound as good as you think that it may. So they're very powerful instruments, and they meet you where you're at. And so if you want to see where you're at, come in for a gong. And and you may think, yeah, I just did a gong for somebody today who's never experienced the gong before, right before we got together. And he was running late, and I asked him, have you ever experienced sound healing before? And he said, oh yeah, I've experienced bowls. And I talked a little bit about the gongs, that, they have some frequencies and some sounds that like to poke around, kind of like a doctor. And I get you right here, poke you here, up there. And so when the gong was over, he said, that was not what I expected. It was not what I expected. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, I thought it was going to be very soothing and therapeutic. And I said, well, what was your experience? He's like, I experienced a lot of fear. I think it was ripping fear out of me. I was a little bit agitated. And it was interesting because he just came back from a chiropractor appointment for his back. His back was hurting, and he had a gong that wasn't what he expected. So we do have to lose our expectations when we're coming to a gong. That's one of the first things that we need to do, is surrender to the sounds and let them do what they're going to do, because they're highly intelligent. And he was very happy to be here. It was a great experience. And I was walking him down, and he looked at me. He's like, "But you know what?" I said, "What?" He's, all my back pain is gone.
Hmm.
My
Yeah.
back pain is gone. He came in here with back pain, had seen the chiropractor, was scared during the gong, was actually inducing some fear into him. And
Right.
as he was leaving, I saw the smile on his face come in. I saw blood come back into his face, and he's all, my back pain is gone.
That's
And
amazing.
so, who knew that to heal, maybe some pain needs to be felt. And when emotions are being released, a lot of times we stuff them because we feel them, and we don't want to deal with that. We're like, no, 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 no. I do not want to feel this way. I want to feel happy. And when you go through a gong like that, and you're trying to change your emotions, but the gong keeps doing its thing. It keeps there. And so you actually go through this process, and you feel it for 45 minutes or an hour. And then afterwards, the release comes. And so he's going to check in with me in a few days or so.
Yeah.
And then I've also found, if it's your first gong, your first one or two gongs that you've never experienced this before, if you're completely ready, you're going to love it and go into a blissful state. But if there's some work that needs to be done, if you're a little rough around the edges, it might take 1, 2, 3 gongs to really get that sound wave, to really get used to it, where the cells begin to not resist it so much. So for anyone who's gone to one gong and did not like the experience, you got to come to at least 3, and then decide whether that's working or not.
Yeah, I definitely had an experience when I first heard the gong for the very first time. Like, it definitely activated my nervous system. I felt kind of nervous. I was like, "Whoa, like what is that?" But then, like, my nervous system would like self-regulate. And I mean, the person that was also playing the gong would take it was, I'm sure there's like at least for me, like, you kind of bring it up and then you know, can bring it back down again, and you kind of keep it down for a while, and then you draw it back up again. So it's not like, you know, you're just wailing on the gong, or it's just like one tempo the whole time. You know, you're it's this whole thing, and your body's reacting to it. So your cells, you know, your energy field, like everything is responding to the sound of the gong, like in the room. So yeah, I mean, I definitely, but I wanted more. Right? Like I was like, oh wow, like I want it to be loud
it's like you're
again.
going
you
on
know?
a journey.
Yeah, it is
you
like a
know?
journeying.
Just
Yeah.
close your eyes and just go.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yes, it's a journey. It's a journey, and you can go to many places, and it can change on a dime. And I've also found that when a gong, like let's say, and the mallet does hit the gong in the wrong way, or you strike a gong, you're like, ooh, why did that happen? That didn't sound good. And through a decade or more of playing, um, I've learned that somebody comes up to me and at the end and they'll say, "Hey, you know that sound that happened, that clang sound?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "This is what happened to me during that clang sound." And my grandmother came in,
Oh my
and
God.
and it was back, and I had dropped the glass, and I cut myself, and I remembered this memory, and she came in and soothed me over, and I'm like, wow. So there's never a mistake with the
Oh, I love
gongs
that.
either. There's never a mistake.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
And the
you get,
more
you
that
know, you
I,
do accidentally hit the handle like on the
yeah,
gong, or you know, something's a little off or whatever,
And
and
back into the oil stain.
yeah, exactly. You know, while I'm walking around with my chimes, I like back into something or whatever. You know, I mean, you're right though. I mean, that makes me feel a little better, because you're right though. Like I'm noticing it because I'm the one playing. Like my eyes are open. Like I'm very conscious and aware, and I'm the one making the noises. But like I'm not, like in the background. And it's true. Like like when you're kind of close to the gong, like when you're close playing it, it's a little bit different to like differentiate like the sounds, right? Like, cause you get kind of like immersed in it. So I'm not hearing like all of the major, like, unless I stand up and stand away from the gong. So if I stand up and I'm kind of away from it, then I can get like feel more about, like, I can kind of get the experience from like a person that's laying down on the ground, like further away from the gong. But like, yeah, being kind of immersed in it, you don't really realize, I don't even know what kind of sounds it's making sometimes. I'm just like going with it.
yeah, and going deep into the soundscape, really what we're doing is we're listening to the silence in between the sounds is really what's happening. And the soundscape, when the soundscape's created with these gongs, every single sound available is there. Yeah, an emergency truck could be driving down the street, part of the soundscape.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
somebody might be you have a studio and there's somebody's out on the sidewalk, or you're above a restaurant, part of the soundscape. Somebody coughs, cries, snores, part of the soundscape. And that's the perfection. That is the perfection in that, and to completely surrender to every sound, every sound that is happening, um, is really the magic in it. Because what's happening is it's really a divine orchestration with the divine consciousness coming in, where there are no mistakes. And even when you're playing the gong very subtle, what happens, and especially when you're striking the gong, um, below the heart rate. So if you're tapping the gong faster, you're actually tapping it faster than the heart rate, and that can create a little bit of nervous tension. And it's appropriate to do that for the constrict and release, constrict and release. But when you're in a theta state, the beats are actually very soft, very slow, and that drops you into a theta state where the subconscious and the conscious become become one.
Mm.
And then what happens? You trip on something and it makes a clang and it takes you out of the theta state. And I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I took them out of the theta state. And that's what I would be thinking. And then when somebody comes up to me and tells me, here's what happened, you have to trust process entirely, and that it is beyond, it's beyond words, it's beyond thinking, it's beyond human consciousness, highly intelligent. And as you know, Chelan, you look at these gongs differently each time you play them, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to see who you are and what you're bringing and what you do. And it's also customary to cover them when you're not playing them. They like to be covered and not looked at when they're resting.
It's hard for me
So
to
there's
look at the gong and not play it too. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like calling to me. It's like, come over here, you know? And it's like, I can't sit down and play for, you know, an hour. So I just play for a little while and
Does
then I
everyone
get
that comes
up.
over want to touch it though?
Everybody
and
that
play
comes
it?
over wants to look at it and play it, and I let them, you know, like I'm not afraid to like let them touch my gong. I let my like 2-year-old niece play it the other day, which was adorable. I mean, she knew right what to do. I mean, it was just
That's
like
so
so
cute.
natural for her to hit the gong, you know. I was like,
wow.
wow, you know, and she wasn't afraid of it. You know, the noises didn't scare her. The noises don't scare the dogs. Like I was kind of worried about bringing it home and having the pets like around it. They like
Yeah.
they surround me. Like when I start
they
playing
love
it, they
it.
come in. It's like they're coming closer to me. They don't run away or anything. But some other instruments, you know, like even with the little singing bowls, I think maybe it's a little bit harder on their ears, like the higher pitches or whatever. But yeah, they love it. I think it's great. I mean, I gave everybody, not everybody, but a bunch of people a gong bath on New Year's Eve, just friends and family. They come home, they come in. My stepmother, you know, she comes in and she's like, can you give me a gong bath? Show me the gong, you know? So it's like, even though they're not coming to my events necessarily, I mean, they're getting a taste of something that like, you know, it's just something new and different that they have never had, you know, a lot of experience with, you know? So it's really cool to be able to offer that to people and just kind of open their mind to something different. And it's so beautiful too. I mean, I love to look at it. I
Yeah,
love the
it's very
color of the
pretty.
gong. Like every picture that I take of it, I feel like it's like a portrait. It's just so pretty, you know, the color.
Yours are like almost like a scaffolding or
But there's two different
something.
kinds. There's like the
everywhere.
wind gong, and what's the other kind of gong, Dave? What's the
Oh, well,
Symphonic.
I mean, there's a chow gong right over here, a symphonic gong, a steel gong, solar gong, wind gong, hang
Oh, is
gong.
that the rotating gong?
At the back there, that's the rotating gong.
Nice.
That's
Yeah, so that's a
cool.
moon gong on that, but that's a new rack that a friend of mine, her husband, would come in here and he gets these ideas. He's like, "You need a rotating gong." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's someone who makes those." He's like, "I'll make one for you." And 3 months later, he came in with this, and it is amazing. So you tap it and you spin it, and then now the sound wave is pulsating in 360 degrees around and just bringing in a whole new element to the sound. And so that's for a 24-inch. Any 24-inch gong can fit into that rack. It's collapsible, so you just take it right apart, put it under your arm there, and bring it in. I actually brought it in for a New Year's sound event that I did on New Year's Eve. And the people all laid in a big circle, and I brought that rotating gong into the middle and would just spin it and just one gong, and everyone just had basically a psychedelic experience listening to that. Um, and and you'll find that science really has caught up to this.
Mm.
And even if you have like a fractured bone, rather than putting you through an X-ray machine, a doctor can actually use a tuning fork, bring that right over your leg, and actually pick up on the resonance where it's changed and saying the fracture is right there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so what the Veda and the sound, you really studying the Vedas, that's 5,000 years old. The first text talks about the healing powers of the sound and the vibration. And so right now, I got into this in 2012, and it just came into my life. I heard the gong once and I was just hooked. I went to so many gongs that the teachers were like, "You're a gong player," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I lay down for these. I have no business playing that." And that's how it all happened. They were very aggressive with me and almost forcing me, cornering me, and holding me down, and said, "You're getting a gong. You're taking a class. You're getting a gong," and that's how it all started. And so you know, me, not really me, like science. I'm a pioneer, and I like to go into the unknown. I really do. There's so much science to back this up, but I like to experience it and feel it, and so that's why I've been doing it for 12 years. There is something going on here that is beyond our comprehension, that is beyond the science. And let's not wait till it's documented. Let's experience this, and then we will write the documentation. We will say what it is. So that's what I really consider myself, as a pioneer of this sound, and that's why I've dedicated my entire life now to these sounds and all types of sound healing as well, not limited to gongs. Right now I'm now practicing the didgeridoo. I'm practicing the harps, and
Oh, you have the
anything that
harps now?
Wow, that's
I'm
cool.
practicing. Yeah, I don't quite have the harp yet, but I do have three didgeridoos, and I didn't try to get those either. Those were it just kind of happened. And so that's another natural sound vibration that is just, you know, it's very, 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 very cosmic. So, anything that really can't be explained, that's what I like to do. And that's really why uh why I'm playing these gongs, and I'm always experimenting them, and and they always know who's in the room. This is the interesting about thing about it. And I was at a spot, I toted my gongs to a crystal shop and doing a gong there, and I strike my gong right in the middle, right where it's always a deep bass, oh,
Yeah.
every single time. And for 12 years, and I strike this right in the middle in this crystal shot. It is a high, super high pitch that I've never heard before, and I just stopped and let it ring out for about 2 minutes. And there were people out in the hallway outside the room. Everyone came in and just ghost white. I'm like, what just happened here? I don't know what just happened there. And it was one of the most powerful gongs I've ever done. And then people would come to me after the gong and tell me what happened, who who came in the room, what transmission happened, where it went into people's beings and gave them a transmission of some sort. And alls I know is something very peculiar, something very special happened. Can I repeat that? Nope. I
Yeah.
could tap that gong for another 5 years. It knew who was in the room, where were the stars aligned in the sky, and that's what I love about it. And another thing is can you record these gongs? Can we get a recording of them? Well, sure. We can do that. But what's also happening is the imperfections when we play. Maybe we do tap something. Maybe something doesn't sound beautiful, flowing like a river of music, but you were in the room and it changed something in your life. It woke you up. It took something away. So it's really the power of being in that space with the gong, in the imperfections of what it's doing, is really where the magic is in it. And
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had some experiences already. I think that I've shared with you about people, coming up to me afterwards with the,
Yeah.
experiences and things happening to them that I probably wasn't anticipating because I'm so, I'm newer at this, so I haven't had like a lot of experiences, but I was like, okay, so that happened. And you're right. Like when there's a different person in the room, because you have your kind of go-to like techniques, right? Like the way you kind of get the gong started, or there's certain things that you do. And you're right. When there's someone different in the room, like when I play for my husband, it sounds very different than when my mother-in-law is in the room, or when it's just me at home, it's a totally different story. I mean, when it's just me and the gong, like it's a completely, I'm like, I wish I could be recording it because I'm like, that was like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I'm like almost in tears, literally, like with the sounds that are just coming off of this instrument. And yeah, you wish you could, but it is different. Every time you do it, it's different. And I love the variety and the availability and that collaboration, that you're doing too. So tell us also about, I know you were doing was it the conscious cannabis events too?
Yeah, we started doing conscious cannabis events here. So, here in North Carolina, it's what THCA, THC,
Whatever
something
the legal
else.
one is, yeah.
Whatever it is. So it's legal. And so we started doing these every 2 months. And people come in, and some of them they don't smoke that much, and they come in here to have a conscious experience with it. We have a guide who's been trained, very ceremonial, like is very ceremonial. And then there's some people who have smoked daily for 30 years, coming in saying, "Well, I'm going to do this because this is cool. I'm not sure I'm going to have an experience, but this is really cool. I'm gonna come do this." And they come in, and guess what? Person who's a daily smoker who didn't think they were going to have an experience had a breakthrough, had amazing cosmic experiences with it. So it's completely different to whether, you're just smoking to relax, or you're smoking in a ceremonial sound
Right.
event intentionally. And there was something there was something that happened in the last one that we did here, actually, very strange. Um, I'll bring it up. So it was Chiron, and I'm playing with Chiron, and these are 2 hours. These events are at least 2 hours, and probably about an hour, 15 hour minute, 20 minutes into it. And I'm playing Chiron, and there's this static sound coming out of Chiron. I'm like, what is this static sound? And it started to sound like a broken radio transmission, like some sort of transmission, but it was broken. I could not tell what it was. And I start getting closer to the gong, and I'm tapping the gong. I'm getting closer. I hear this transmission. And the next thing you know, I'm holding two mallets, and I don't know where I am. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a gong room, and I'm holding a couple mallets, and I can hear the gong ringing down. And I'm like, where do I go next? I was completely didn't know where I was. And the next thing I know, I hear this voice, this word come out of that side of the room. And I start looking at we have some guardians, we got some space holders, and we got we got the master teacher. And I'm looking at them, and they're like, I don't know. So they heard it. They're like, I don't know. And so afterwards, we're down there talking. We have our closing circle, and somebody brought that up. And one person said, "Oh, yeah, it was a female voice, and it came from over there." And another person said, "Oh, no, it was a male voice, and it came from over there." So everyone heard a different voice coming from a different part of the room, and it was a different word. And by the end of the conversation, we're like, what was said? Nobody could remember the word.
Yeah.
And so something came through that gong. Something came through that gong. And during that experience. And these are just the kind of things that do happen during gong events. We don't know what it was. I keep looking at my rack trying to get that static sound, like, oh, maybe it was a rope that was rubbing somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to debunk the thing. I can't debunk it.
No, it wasn't a
And
rattle, Dave. We know what it
no, it
was.
wasn't a rat. And these things are very quite common, and they can also stoke what your gift is. Like maybe you're a visionary, maybe you're a feeling person, maybe you're intuitive, maybe you're a clairvoyant, and whatever that you are when you're in these gongs, it enhances your abilities. And so somebody in here, oh, I saw this, and somebody said, oh, I felt that, and you can kind of put it together a
Right. It
little
like
bit.
heightens
Yeah,
it.
that's great.
Yeah. So somebody would feel it,
Yeah.
somebody would hear it, somebody would, smell it, even maybe like a smell in the room or something. So it's invoking these,
Sure.
I mean, we're vibrating. So, I mean, at that point, you would think maybe even dimensions are kind of, coming in and out, like multi dimensions, or, reverberating, or old energies that are around, still, or whatnot.
So come to the
Here's
gong
something.
bath and get your activation.
Yeah.
Activate your clair abilities that you didn't know you have.
Yeah, just
you
come and just
know,
have no
anything,
expectations and lay
anything.
down, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've had people say, "Oh, I didn't feel well after I left because it's moving so much in your body," but then they're like, "The next day I felt amazing. I slept great." It really causes shifts, and yeah, it is uncomfortable when you are, have something, an ailment or bad energy or whatever. But
Yeah.
moving it out, that's the way it feels better.
Yeah,
Same thing with
definitely.
muscles, you feel like crap after you work out. If you haven't in a while, lactic acid, when it's gone, you feel better, you're stronger, you're more resilient than when
Right.
you started. Same thing with sound healing. So, definitely twice a month, Chelan is doing this, and it's such a gift that you're able to bring to our community.
I love
Yes.
doing it too. I
Yeah,
mean, I
you
don't
really
even mind
do.
dragging the
I know,
equipment.
right?
I mean, I do want my own space, somewhere where I could have, more than one gong and I don't have to carry the thing. But you know what? It's just all part of the process. Like, I feel like I'm in service as soon as I start putting my instruments, like, breaking my instruments down at home and putting them in the packaging and bringing them to the car and then finding what, putting on something that I'm going to wear and then, bringing the instruments there and then setting them up. It's like all a ceremony to me. It feels like really like ritualistic, and then I bring the instruments home, and then usually before I put the instruments back out, I kind of clean. I like sweep up and I make my room all nice, and it's just like this. It's created a very different vibe in that room and in my whole house, to be honest with you. I mean,
sure.
my family, my teenagers are still a little skeptical. Charlie likes it. He plays the gong. He already wants to play the guitar and stuff, so he's kind of already into it. But I mean, I think Tyler wants me to play it so that his
There you go.
surgery heals faster. He's like, well, maybe
Yeah.
if you play the gong, then my surgery will heal faster. I'm like, well, maybe it will. Of course, my husband's all into it. He loves it. He's just like, can you play the gong for me? He wants to play it for me. It's sweet. It's just like it's this like cool new vibe I got going at the house, and everybody, whenever they come, they just want to see the gong. It's like they don't just walk right past me. They're like, where's the gong? Can I see the gong? Did you get the gong?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Love
cool.
it.
It's all good. It's a lot of fun, and I just love it. So what else? So what retreats do you have coming up? You have the educational retreat that you're doing.
May,
Yeah,
right?
we have a retreat every single month coming. Every single month we have a retreat with a different theme. And this year, a lot of the themes are going to be shadow work. As 2024, astrologically, without getting into everything, it is a breakthrough or breakdown kind of year. And the status quo isn't going to work so much. So really putting that out there, because this is, as much as we want it to sound good and have a good time, this is really powerful work. And so the retreats all have a little bit of element in that. But once a month we do have a different retreat. I can't remember specifically which ones they are. Going to the website
Yeah.
would be the best idea to do that. And right now they're all weekend retreats. You arrive on a Friday about 4 o'clock, and we close by 1 o'clock on a Sunday. And within those 2 days, you will go through an experience. And the retreats not only include sound, but they include your quarters, you're fed, all meals, for fire ceremonies, cacao ceremonies, intentional journaling, water ceremonies, and everything just very, very, very conscious, very carefully drafted. I'm I think I'm exhausted, right? I'm working 16-hour days, and by Sunday I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to like fall asleep when it's over. No, I've got a complete new charge, just as these people are leaving. So they're very, very energetic. But you do want to check the website out, because each retreat does have a little bit of a different design to it. But in May is the Learn How to Play retreat. And I am getting a lot of inquiries about learning to play the gong. So I do have a feeling we're going to be putting another one on there. And If people want a different day to learn how to play the gong, like, oh, we can gather at this time, I will put that on by demand. Learn how to play the gong. So that's what's going on. And then every weekend, Saturdays, 3 sessions a day, Sunday, donation day for the community. You're in town, come on down. You don't have you don't have much money, get on in here. And even third, and then I do set up new moon and full moon retreats. Those are donation based as well. So no inner child gets left behind here. You want a gong, call me, get in here. This is a bit, I dedicated my life to this, so I do need to make money doing it. So I'm not giving everything away. But for the people that can, for donation day, for the people that I have the ability to give me more than I would charge, please do. It's all good. And then for the people that can't, come on in. We do a lot of trading, collaborations. Um, so,
And
and I'm
you'll
going to
help
be
people pick
putting,
out a gong too if they don't have one. Like say they,
yeah,
they
help.
come to the gong event and they're like, "Oh, I love this. This is so great." And then
Yeah, it's so overwhelming. I know when
they
we
don't
were
know how to buy a
first,
gong. They don't
right?
know what equipment to get. Like, will you help people with that too?
That's starting to happen. And I always wondered why these gong players were gong dealers. I'm like, what's going on with you? You're selling gongs now. And now that I've been doing it 12 years, that's next. So I can see that coming. So I'm already helping people find gongs and I'm directing them to the gong and the place to come get the gong. But where this is going, I will have special gongs even available for sale here. We already have a boutique where you can ocean drums, chimes, wind wands, all the accessories we already have here. For the gongs, that's a more expensive inventory to carry.
Yeah,
Um, so as soon
definitely.
as, yeah, but for people that need some instruction on what kind of gong to get, where to get it at, yes, I'm available for that. I know several gong makers here in the United States, several gong makers in the UK, and then I also know the warehouses, distribution shops of where to get these things. So yeah, come see me about that. And I'm also going to be putting together astrology and gong workshops where we're going to really be getting in tune with the energies that we feel with these planets, lay down, have an experience with these gongs, and then talk about it and see if we can really feel these planets inside of us. So I'm really looking forward to that. Those are not on the schedule yet. They're still on design. Been doing this for a year and a half now. So, definitely keep watching what's going on here. It's growing exponentially and new and progressive things are going to be coming in every single month, and open to work with anyone that has an interest in this, to work together with as well. So all happening here at the innerwolfretreatspace.com is the
Awesome.
best way to get
Yeah.
acquainted. Everything's going on. That's here is on the schedule, and it's easy to sign up for as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely share it in the group and any new events that we have. I'll definitely share
Yes, for
those,
sure.
anything that's coming up. And I'll make sure that everybody knows where to find you, David. And I mean, we just appreciate you coming on so much. Did you want to play a few instruments for us before we wrap up?
I would love to.
Yay.
Um, so yeah, why don't I just tap the gongs here a little bit and see if I can get you guys a little bit of a better view if I can, and let's do that.
All right, go for it. Nice.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
That's good. Can you hear it? Not at all. Oh. David, can you hear me? I don't think they can hear us. I don't think they can hear the instruments. It's okay. We'll have you back on for an actual gong bath. How about we could collaborate for a virtual?
So he could send a video.
Yes.
We could post it.
yeah, I have-
too.
maybe you can
Or
make a video and we can
sent me
post it.
one before, actually.
How about that?
I think it was
Yeah,
playing
why don't I make a
didgeridoo.
little video with the equipment and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, no
And I
rush or
did that.
anything. You are a busy man, and I am so happy for you. All these new cool things that are happening, and Deana and I
it's
are
very
definitely going to come
inspiring
down.
too. That we can do anything if we really have our heart in it.
Yeah, right. You don't have to
The right
stay stuck
intentions.
in a 3D job. You can leave and do your sound healing if you want to.
You can, and come get gong to start. And Chelan, we're inviting you out here to come gong with us. You have an invite. We're going to talk later about that. But
I
yes,
can't
we'd love
wait.
to
I
have
definitely
you
want to
out.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely
Yeah.
taking a road trip for sure. Me and Deana are coming down. We're
Yeah.
going to chill with you. Maybe we'll go to gong camp. I want to do that. When's the gong camp?
It's in May, right?
No.
Those sell out relatively quickly. They're on popular demand. So there's 2 back to back right now. So yeah, I can turn you on to gong camp. Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of fun. Go chill with
Yeah.
some gong players for a weekend or whatever.
Love that.
I mean, I can give you the website to go to right now if you'd like.
That's all right. So you can send it to me on. I'll talk to you on Telegram or whatever. You know,
Okay.
we'll be in
That
touch. But thank you
that
again,
sounds
David. We're
good.
super
Thank
excited
you.
to have
It's
you
so
on.
great to meet you and see the gongs. Learned so much today.
You too, both of you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And I look forward to being back, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, can't wait. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
Thank you to Renovatio Aesthetics and Wellness, one of our sponsors. Thank you to
Nama Let It Go.
Nama Let It Go and Whitesboro Fit Body Boot Camp, also Clinton Fit Body Boot Camp. So you got to check out that new location. So-
And don't forget, Chelan's doing Valentine's.
Oh, a Valentine's
Gong.
Day couples gong
Yes.
on February 14th. So 2 days before I go away on vacation, I'm going to do a couples gong bath at Roots Yoga for Valentine's Day. So we'll make it at a time where you could either grab a little meal before, you could grab a little meal afterwards, whatever you want to do. But, you know, we're going to do a couples love session. So, I mean, just being in the room together with my husband and the gong, I mean, it just neutralizes the vibration, right? I mean, we're already resonating at a very similar frequency because we've been together for so long and we resonate in this, you know, cohabitate in the same house. But, you know, if you are feeling a little bit off from your partner, or maybe you're not connecting as well as you might want to, you know, this is a beautiful way to coexist, you know, co-regulate your vibration at a gong bath. So yeah, February 14th and the 28th at Nama Let It Go. Don't forget that. And this probably won't come out before the 19th. I don't know. But the 19th
February
too.
14th at Roots, January 28th at
January
Nama.
28th at Nama, and yeah, and check out. I will definitely share David's website too. All right, well, thank you guys. Bye, David. We love you,
Thank
and we'll
you.
be back for season 3 sometime soon. This is the last episode in
Yes,
season
send
2.
us ideas if you want to sponsor.
Yeah,
Come on the show.
Yeah.
Come hang out
We're
with
going to need
us.
more guests, so I mean, we're not
Yeah,
running out
for
of
sure.
guests.
No.
But if you want to come
We
on
have a
and
line
highlight
right now,
your
but it's so,
talent or love or whatever, let us know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night, David.
Good
I'll talk
night.
to you soon.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Bye,
much.
guys.
Bye.
Good night.